I met Eddie Van Halen when they first came out. They just were breaking on the radio, and everybody was talking about him. A friend of mine used to work for their band. He brought him over to my house, and we sat and we jammed. And as soon as I saw his hands, I had an SG, and he took my SG, he put it on his lap, and he started playing it like a piano. And I went, oh my God, what are you doing? What? And it wasn't the instruments. It just was his hands.
Marty Schwartz here with Marty Music. We've got another episode of Guitar Tours. This time I am hanging out with the super bodacious Todd Sharp. What's up, man?
Marty?
Hey.
Pleasure.
Thank you for giving us your time here and welcoming us into your laboratory.
Thank you for coming. Glad to have you here.
Tasty playing and, more importantly, tasty hair, my man.
Well, you know, I worked on it for 2 hours.
Let's see, you're clearly an awesome guitar player, but you make guitar amps.
I do, I make amps.
How long have you been doing the amp thing?
Officially, since February 2016, we launched this company.
Okay.
Todd Sharp Amplifiers.
Have you been working on amps for probably most of your music career? Like understanding how they work and the...
Sort of. So when I was a little kid, really little,
yeah,
I was interested in electronics and ham radio. So I sort of had that, and then I let that go a few years later when, you know, the Beatles came along and I got interested in guitar. So I started to play music, and that's what I did for the next 40 years.
Now, you played guitar with Fleetwood Mac for a while?
Not exactly.
Okay.
But I did play with Mick Fleetwood.
Okay. Gotcha.
And Christine McVie.
Yep.
And from
some members.
Mac, and Bob Welch.
Okay, yeah.
Who was in one of the earlier bands.
Okay.
So yeah, I worked with all those guys, made records with them.
All right, Todd, this is called Guitar Tours. So, you know, we want to go through artists' guitars that mean something to them or their collection. You said this was your #1 guitar right here?
It kind of is these days.
Yeah, so we got a Strat. You want to tell us what it is?
You know, to tell you the truth, I'm not like a super collector.
Yep.
I'm a player.
Yep.
I have a 59 Strat. That's my baby.
Oh, okay.
I'm so fond of it that I tried to clone it.
Okay.
Because about 10 or 12 years ago, I did a tour with a French artist, a guy named Eddie Mitchell. And at that point, I was pretty much a Strat guy, and like that's all I played. But I didn't want to bring that. So I bought this from a guy in a hotel room. I bought it as a spare guitar. It's a Mexican Strat. I don't know really the particulars. It's probably a 1990s.
Okay.
I paid $200 for it. It had a rosewood neck. It played pretty good. I souped it up a little. Took it to my friend Jeff Sen, and he put some Lawler pickups in it.
Okay.
And set it up nice. And once I got on stage with it, I knew this, but I relearned it. It's a big difference between the couch and the stage.
Uh-huh.
So this thing played real nice, and I would sit there and go, man, I love rosewood fingerboards, and this has big fat frets, and it's fun. And then I took it out on tour, and I couldn't play it. I was struggling with it, and I kind of figured out that the neck was too small. So I brought it back, I gave it to Jeff Sen. I took my 59, and I said, can you make me a neck like this one? This is a mail order neck, I don't know what it is.
Oh, right, because there's no
so maybe it's a Warmoth neck. It's not terribly anything special.
Yep.
Except that Jeff shaped it up. Joe Glazer put frets on it. And when we put it on this guitar, this became a magical guitar.
All right.
And I learned a new lesson, that the neck has so much more to do with it than I ever realized.
Okay.
This thing kind of came alive. It's a parts guitar. I've been playing since I was 11, I'm 63. I pretty much sound the same no matter what I play through.
Yeah.
And no matter what guitar I'm playing. It is a good thing, but I think what I've eventually learned, and for me, after a lot of screwing around with gear, is find what you know how to work with. Like this guitar kind of talks to my hands about right. I don't need to pick up a Les Paul for this song because it's a bigger song.
Right.
Maybe there's a pedal and a Strat back pickup if you turn the tone down a little. It can rock out.
Yep. I was playing this one in our opening jam and it felt awesome. It's an Epiphone. Well, they don't call it a 335, do they?
That's an Epiphone Riviera.
What can you tell me about this one?
I got that guitar when I joined Bob Welch's band, I think in about 78. And that was my main guitar for some years. I don't know exactly why I retired it. When I first got it, I had to get it worked on. That originally had a trapeze bridge.
Okay.
One of these things going back here. And the pickup squealed. It just whee! And he finally said, let's put some different pickups in it. And let me take this, put a better tailpiece on it. Epiphones are really Gibsons with little tiny changes. Like this is a 335, but it's got mini humbuckers. Epiphone made a lot of guitars with slightly narrower fingerboards.
Okay.
Almost like they were better for kids.
Yeah.
Again, the strings are a little too close together for me.
For you, yeah.
So I have in the last year experimented. I've had the nut recut and the bridge re-notched to do everything I can to stretch that fingerboard out a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah.
And I'm back to playing it.
I feel your passion when you play.
This is actually a Silvertone 6-string bass. I put slightly lighter strings on it when I got it about 20 years ago. I tune it to A, that's an A. It's just a badass machine. And I think Dan Electro made these.
Yeah,
right?
okay.
That's about as much as I know about Silvertones. Again, it goes back to that thing of like, if you can figure out how to make a sound out of it, it's cool because there's really no shittier guitar than a Silvertone.
Yeah.
You couldn't make them cheaper if you tried.
Right.
This thing is a pig to play. If you're gonna play it, it's kind of like you got to get ready.
Roll your sleeves up.
Yeah, it's like, okay, here we go.
Do you bring this out when you
gig
and stuff?
And it's a crowd pleaser.
Oh, all right. It's powerful.
Lipstick pickups, they sound amazing. And I'm not playing like super loud, but if you it's a guitar, you gotta sort of give it a little muscle.
So this is your 59 Strat that it's like this is the baby.
This is the baby. I bought this in England, actually, before they got just so expensive you couldn't believe it. You know, I'm a rosewood fingerboard guy. This is not the original pickguard.
Okay.
I have the original pickguard and pickups. The pickups sounded great, but they were sort of a little weak.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what to do about that except put a new pickguard. And these are Lindy Fralin pickups.
At some point, it was a pristine sunburst, yeah?
Yeah, I think this is what they call it. This was a 3-color, and after enough years, the red fades out. Really, the exceptional thing about this guitar is the neck. It's kind of wide, and it's a little flat right here. Not too flat, but it's definitely not a V shape. I actually have little hands, you know, I mean, I don't have long fingers, and I don't know why I like more narrow, I mean wider fingerboards, but I do. Otherwise I can't get my fingers in between. My amp design it's just different. We've just had the NAMM show, right? You go to the NAMM show and you got like, what, 500 guitar companies.
Yeah.
They're all kind of making Strats and Tellys and Les Pauls.
Yep.
And they're all trying to figure out how to make a guitar that is as good today as they were 60 years ago.
Right.
They're trying to figure out how to get these new pickups to sound like old pickups. But in the world of guitar amps and guitars, it's kind of the same rule, is that everybody's still kind of doing the same thing. So when I decided to make an amp after playing and fixing and futzing and observing, I thought, you know, I don't think the world needs another amp company that's going to make like yet another Tweed Deluxe. What I did and what I kind of started working on is I amplify the pickup in my first stage with a pentode, which is a little different. I have a switch here called the attitude switch. And then I have this switch called Byte. And these are switches. I don't have bass and treble and middle controls. I don't have tone controls.
Okay.
This changes the way the first tube is wired up. So does this. My approach to this was, it really ain't tone. It's about feel. It's about letting a sound come through or not come through. So there's a Strat plug straight in, back pickup. Little more gain, little high frequency shelf. A little more gain, wider and brighter. A little more Marshall-y setup. Kind of everything we got. And I figure when you plug in a guitar, you want a sound. You don't really want to play with knobs. You want to go like, yeah, I like that one. I always run my amp either there, clean and bright, very snappy, or I run it there. Then I got a Byte switch, which that switch adjusts the upper mid-range, again, of the first tube. So we're changing the way the pentode is actually hooked up.
Okay.
So you get a little more upper mid-range or a lot more. So, and then of course, you have a volume control. So, from there, I have a low cut. That kind of couples how much low end is coming through.
Okay.
And usually I use this in a room like this that is super boomy.
Yeah.
I just take some low cut. So, you know, you're in a boomy club and you're gonna go like, yeah, this is gonna work tonight. So you need some kind of treble control. So between this, which is kind of like more treble, you know, I don't have the Byte on right now. Now I got it on. The other thing I do different is my inputs is like, this is really my single coil input.
Oh, okay.
You can plug whatever you want in there. You're not going to blow anything up. But this is a little more tailored to humbucking.
Ah.
So it's just a little quieter and not quite as much low end coming through.
All right, that's all the time we have. I want to thank you again, Todd Sharp. Man, it was so great getting to know you today. Now, ToddSharpAmps.com. Go to the website, check it out. One more jam?